Hey, what's going on everybody? It is TSJ. Welcome back to another discussion video. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to get updates on all the new content. Now, if you were watching my live stream of Battlefield 5 while I was waiting for my new PC, I said I was gonna do a discussion video on Battlefield 5 because I'd been playing it a lot. I actually bought it from the PlayStation Store, and I'm a longtime fan of Battlefield, the franchise. If you have been a part of my channel for a while, or if you're just one of my friends on here and you've been fortunate enough to play with me on it, then you know that I go back a long ways to the Battlefield franchise, back to 1942 actually. I used to play 1942 on the computer all the time at a friend's place. I'd literally just go over there for that. And being in like elementary school, didn't really know what it would come to be or even think about that. And then years later, a decade later, I ended up playing Bad Company 2 and Bad Company 1. And Bad Company 2 is what got me onto the franchise. I mean, the multiplayer was awesome. And then I got I was already hype, and then I, heard about Battlefield 3 coming out. That was like the huge development of the franchise. And of course Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, and now we're here. So the things I want to talk about, guys, for Battlefield for this video is kind of posing the question, what has happened to Battlefield 5? Now, just to be sure, this isn't going to be a video bashing. This is just going to be my perspective. I don't have any professional standards or anything like that. My voice doesn't need to be heard like this, but because I do have this channel as an outlet, I do want to share my thoughts on Battlefield. And I don't know. To put it this way, guys, I am very disappointed with Battlefield 5. I don't, to not like mince words or anything like that. I'm just not really, it's just not that much fun to me. Now, to be sure, if you like this game and, you find it to be awesome, it's your cup of tea, even if you like the other Battlefields and you like this one too, then fine. That's totally cool. But this is just me as a longtime fan. I'm pretty disappointed with it for a number of reasons, okay? Some of them you guys have heard about. Some of them, all of these have pretty much been talked about before. But regardless, it's still things that are bothering me, that have bothered me about it, okay? So one of the biggest ones, which when it happened to me, I Googled it, and it's actually a thing that people talk about on Reddit a lot, and it's something else that apparently it's on other Battlefields. I played almost all the modern Battlefields, and I don't personally remember this happening, but the whole issue of hit points. I shoot at somebody and I get like 140 hit points, right? And then this is something small, and a lot of people are like, well, it's just a glitch. It really is 100. It's still that 100. It's just the numbers are wrong, and I don't know if that's true. It could be true. It might be true. This is again stuff you could be saying. Super Jew, you're just nitpicking, and I probably am nitpicking a little bit, and it doesn't do it all the time, but it just does it sometimes, and it bothered me. I was like, this just doesn't seem, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way right when I started to play this. I was like, this is a little strange, the fact that it's giving you more hit points, because it makes me feel, and I'm sure it makes other players feel like why does it take 140 bullets, or not bullets, 140 hit points to kill someone? It should just take 100. It was just really strange, and it's happened to me fairly often. It's just something, and again, on Reddit, after looking at what people have to say about it and what DICE has had to say about it in EA, they're like, it's just a glitch, they haven't fixed it yet. I don't know why they haven't fixed it yet. It's been enough time. It's just kind of weird, but that goes into a couple other issues that I'm gonna be talking about as well. So that was one of my issues. The second issue is, we all know about the trailer that released, how it's like one of the most disliked videos on YouTube right now, how it brings up the issue of like the political correctness and the women and stuff like that. And that stuff really didn't bother me, right? It really doesn't bother me. I'm not like one of those people that's like, it has to be accurate and all this stuff. And this is going to sound contradictory once I tell you what bothers me about it, but I don't get bothered by that stuff. I like, this might be a bad comparison, but if you play the Command & Conquer games, I like the the craziness of like the Red Alert franchise, how it's totally over the top, totally just not, you know, it's just not accurate. It's a fun game, right? And I like games like that. And I may have dealt with that hit point issue and then saw this and been like, wow, this is just kind of taking me out of it. And I should have known what I was getting myself into. But when I died, this was one of the first times I was playing, and I saw a woman holding a samurai sword. I even forget what faction. I think she's with the British, right? Or the Japanese. I don't remember. I read a couple places when I tried to look up the faction. I keep on seeing it. I think it's the British. Regardless, I just was like, why is there someone in here holding a samurai sword, running around with a samurai sword, not in any type of uniform or anything like that? I totally get that you want to use, what is it? The rebels. I didn't play the campaign, mind you. You know, the Swedish rebels or Finnish rebels. I forget which rebel group that one of the factions is based off of, or that you play in the campaign. That's totally fine. But if you're gonna play on some of these grand scale maps, you know, like Wake Island, I mean, it doesn't even matter about the maps. Like, just these locations. If you want to have the factions you want, just don't be so ridiculous with the aesthetics of the uniforms and of the build of the characters. This might sound stupid, and a lot of you probably won't like, and a lot of you might not like me saying this and stuff like that, but I just couldn't get into it. I couldn't. I got taken out of it. And I've seen this said a lot, how a lot of these issues are taking people out of the immersion of World War II. Because at first I really didn't mind, you know, people were like, "Oh, we want 1942 but updated. That's all we want." You know, just like Battlefront 2, right? We want Battlefront that was on the old PlayStation 2, and we want it to just be remastered. And they didn't do that, and a lot of people were upset. And so for this, they were, well, let's do D-Day. Let's have it be really gritty and stuff like that. And, you know, I kind of get what people were talking about now, how this just isn't as immersive. You just don't get sucked into it. Now, take Battlefield 3, for example. Modern day, those maps were... Now, these maps are big. I'm just reiterating it still. They were big for Battlefield 3, and it was just epic warfare. It just seemed brutal. There was, I mean, it was modern, of course, but it just was like crazy. It was nuts. You really felt like, almost in a sense, you were like in wherever the battles were taking place. You felt like you were there. This just doesn't. And they even have, like, again, this is just my own nitpicks, guys, but they even have scopes and stuff like that. Now, it sounds stupid because I'm using one, but... And I didn't look this up, and I probably should have before I complained about it. You know, I didn't look up if they have all of these customizations that they gave you for the guns and stuff like that. But if they didn't, then just don't put them in the game. Guys, remember Battlefield Bad Company 2, the Vietnam DLC, which I'll get to DLC in a moment. Remember that? If you played that, that was so much fun. It was no BS, right? No bullshit at all, okay? You had the basic guns, no scopes, nothing like that. It was like that was like all on skill. I have to think it was, right? That was like gritty. It was so like, oh God, I'm trying not to curse. I'm getting heated. It was just awesome, right? You guys get it. I don't know why they did not do that for Battlefield 5. I don't know why they did that. It's kind of like when something's so obvious, like you just have to listen to the fans. Like, okay, I liked Battlefield 1, by the way. I really actually did. I know a lot of people see the segue from Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5, and they're like, yeah, we see the issues that were from Battlefield 1 being hidden again in Battlefield 5, but now they're even worse and they have new issues. I actually didn't mind Battlefield 1. I liked Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3 more. Battlefield 4, I was a fan of it, but I wasn't like a huge fan, because honestly it was like Battlefield 3. It really, really was. It was like Battlefield 3, modern, new maps. That's pretty much it, which is fine. But I'm like, you know, hey, I like some change every now and then. And again, this is change. This just is like, it's too much change, and it's kind of stupid change in a sense. I hate to say it that way. All right, and I say this, guys, like, really upsetting, okay? Because I love the Battlefield franchise. I played Modern Warfare 2 like religiously back in the day on the PlayStation 3, and then I got introduced to Bad Company 2 from a friend, and then from there on I was like, okay, I love Battlefield. Grand scale maps, large destruction, which by the way, there's destruction in here, of course, but it's just, I feel like, guys, when you introduce something into the game, you need to keep on going bigger. Remember Battlefield 3? I forget the map that it was, but it was like there was a huge skyscraper in the center, and eventually it could collapse and go into the water. That was so epic. Even Battlefield 4, they had like maps like that where it was like grand scale, and eventually, even though it was like timed and stuff like that, those kind of big events, that would be so cool if they happened. There's the map in here called, I forget, like Destruction or something like that, where it takes place in the city, and there's like a train, and it's already collapsed. It would be cool if you could fight in the city, but over time, that's when things would start to collapse, you know? That would be so freaking cool. But they didn't do that. I just wish that over time, like, yeah, we have a really good aspect of the game. Let's try to make it better each time. You don't have to do something huge, but just, you know, I don't know, maybe something little, improve it each time. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling on about it right now. One of the last points I want to talk about with you guys, though, is DLC. So, the DLC for, and this goes into Battlefield 1 too. The DLC for Battlefield 1, I don't really know what it was, to be sure. There were like expansion packs, to be sure, and new maps, of course, but I think there was like a bunch of new maps. In fact, when I looked at you know, some to make this video, just kind of seeing what there was, and there were a bunch of additional little DLC points that DICE released, okay? I've heard all the news, but when this video is coming out, that DICE has already said that they're not planning, that the DLC for this game will end soon, which, again, I guess that sucks for people who've been playing it for a while. I haven't been playing it for that long, but Bad Company 2 did not have a bunch of DLCs. It had three released DLCs, and it had one or two really big ones, okay? And so what they was Onslaught, if you remember, which was a cooperative mode that, you know, you could play with a friend, and you could survive against you know, soldiers and do different objectives, like essentially missions you could do with a friend. Pretty basic, pretty fun, you know, that's cool. Then the big one came out, right? That was Vietnam. Alright, it was literally new maps, new weapons, new visuals, all in the Vietnam era, which was so freaking cool. I loved that so much. It was so awesome. It was cool. I'm a little obsessed with that, a little jaded towards that. And then I just don't know why. And then, of course, you had Battlefield 3, you had all the new maps. I totally get if you want to release DLCs in the forms of map expansions, okay? Like, you release 4 new maps or 5 new maps. But it seems like they're doing it like kind of piecemeal. Like, okay, releasing a new map and a couple new weapons here, and now we're going to do it again. And I know that formula is probably never going away, but I don't like it. That's just me personally. I wish that they would do these really big DLC expansions, at least, even just if it was just one, like Vietnam. It was so cool. Release like 15 maps, you know, on the release of a game, and then maybe release some new guns here and there for updates, but then really put a lot of energy into either different, you know, these are games, they can do whatever they want for them. So like for Battlefield 5, I know they released a Japanese home front, release a Eastern front, you know, something like that. Release a map that, you know, is full D-Day, you know, something like that. And for God's sakes, get rid of the freaking samurai. So I don't know why they did that. I'm sure I could find it out there. I could read some of the criticism that DICE has answered about that. But I don't know. I have no clue why the hell they did that. So anyway, I don't want to keep you guys too long. But hopefully just let me know, what do you guys think down in the comments of what's going to happen to Battlefield 5, the Battlefield franchise. I know that they're skipping this year. The next one's coming out next year. And I'm just curious to know, you know, what do you guys think is going to happen? Is this like the end of the Battlefield franchise in the sense that they're going to keep on whenever people say, is it the end of something? They're going to keep releasing them, but is it going to kind of suck from here on out where it just doesn't give you the same Battlefield excitement, I guess, so to speak? I don't know. You'll have to let me know what you think down in the comments below. But hope you enjoyed this video, guys. As always, be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comments below of everything that we talked about. Everyone, hope you're doing hope you're safe, hope you're healthy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.